Coming up tonight on the news at 6, COVID-19 continues to impact the state, including the governor's office. We have the details. Plus,
I'm Mike Dennison in Helena. Coming up, one last look at Montana's pivotal governor's race.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
And welcome to the news at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, we are less than a week out from Election Day, and more than 427 ballots have already been cast by Montanans. But the candidates are not slowing down, and that includes Montana's pivotal race for governor. MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes one last look at the final push and the campaign money fueling this contest.
The race for Montana's open governor's seat is considered competitive, but most polls have shown Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte with the lead. He's also spent $7.5 million of his own money on the campaign, a point that Democrat Mike Cooney is using as a point of criticism these final days.
He's trying to buy this election. It's that simple. This out-of-state, out-of-touch, wannabe plutocrat has spent more than $17 million trying to buy our elections since Governor Bullock and I beat him the first time he tried to purchase the governor's office.
The Gianforte campaign says his personal investment means he's not for sale, and they note that outside groups like the Democratic Governors Association and Montana Conservation Voters have spent about $13 million helping Cooney. The Republican Governors Association also has spent at least $8 million helping Gianforte. But when it comes to money from actual donors, the two men are about even, raising $3.4 million each through mid-October. About 80% of Gianforte's donor cash is from Montanans, while Cooney is getting 2/3 of his haul from inside the state. Cooney, however, has a lot more donors and donations, in excess of 53,000, while Gianforte is at 11,500, so his average donation is much larger. In the coming days, Gianforte is hitting the trail with national figures, like Texas U.S. Senator Ted Cruz in Billings and Hamilton, and Donald Trump Jr. in Kalispell on Saturday. Gianforte's message is a consistent one. He'll bring a private sector business approach to running government.
The plan's pretty straightforward. It focuses on a top-to-bottom regulatory review to keep regulations that protect public safety and the environment, but remove the excessive ones, lowering the tax burden across the board, property taxes and income taxes, and then working with industry.
Lieutenant Governor Cooney goes on the road starting Friday, everywhere from Billings to Fort Benton to Butte and places in between. He's hitting familiar Democratic themes.
I'm running to expand access to public lands, defend affordable health care, and invest in quality public education for all Montanans.
This race is considered the most competitive governor's contest in the nation. But how close is it, really? I'm guessing at least 100,000 Montanans have yet to vote, and they'll be making the final call. In Helena, I'm Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, and Libertarian Lyman Bishop of Kalispell is also on the ballot for governor. And if you still need to register to vote, you can in person at county elections offices. All right, now let's check in with Andy Curtis filling in at the Weather Center.
Things are looking up across the state today and tomorrow and the next day. We have a couple of nice days ahead of us. Temperature-wise, a lot of sunshine, but there will be one issue, and that's an issue that comes up quite a bit: wind. It will be windy across the state today, or tomorrow rather, and especially on Friday. Taking a live look at Mac Pass. Roads are pretty clear at the moment. Things have been melting all day, so please be careful as temperatures start to drop tonight if you're going up over any of the mountain passes, because that snow could freeze once again, causing some issues across the state. Not a lot going on. Pretty calm day from border to border. Like I mentioned, we will be seeing more wind tomorrow and especially on Friday. Wind speeds 60 miles per hour in certain areas, 40 to 50 plus in a lot of areas around the state. But on the plus side of that, we will have a lot of sunshine. You know, there will be some clouds. Yes, won't be exactly bluebird days from here on out, but plenty of sunshine, which will drive up the temperatures. Warmer temperatures like what we saw today, but maybe a few degrees warmer over the next couple of days. We're talking high 40s, mid 50s, and even the possibility of getting into 60 and beyond coming up next week. I'll tell you about that coming up in the full forecast.
All All right, thanks for that, Andy. A special meeting is happening right now with the Cascade City County Health Department. They are considering tightening COVID-19 restrictions. Now, this comes after two of Montana's largest counties, Yellowstone and Missoula, put similar measures in place. That meeting has been going on for more than 2 hours, and we have a reporter in there right now, and we'll be back with the latest on the health department's decision tonight at 10. And businesses in Cascade County are also anxiously awaiting that decision. Though a few businesses have been cited for disobeying mask orders, the majority are following the rules, social distancing and requiring masks. Many businesses are still hurting after they shut down in the spring. Still, there's a lot of disagreement among business owners about more restrictions. We spoke with one gym owner who says he will do whatever it takes to stay open safely.
If they ask us to go to a lesser number, we have to do what we have to do, and we have to follow those guidelines because we do service the public and they're serving us with good knowledge and information the best they know. So you don't want to doubt it, you want to kind of back it.
A governor's office staffer tested positive for COVID-19. According to a news release from the governor's office, the individual was experiencing symptoms but has not been in the office this week. Governor Steve Bullock and Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney are not considered close contacts and both tested negative for the virus. The governor will be routinely tested over the next several days. Now, 4 other people in the office are considered close contacts and will quarantine for the next 14 days. Looking at the state's COVID-19 situation, Montana reported 632 new COVID-19 cases today, pushing the total to more than 30,000 cases. Now, just over 9,000 of those are active cases. 10 more deaths have been reported since last night, bringing the statewide total to 352 Montanans that have died due to COVID-19. 374 people are currently hospitalized with the virus. That's 24 more people than yesterday. Now, it is important to keep in mind MTN numbers do vary from those reported by state officials because we track data from both state and local health departments to give you the most up-to-date information available. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks is blaming last weekend's weather for bringing out the fewest hunters on the Rocky Mountain front on opening weekend in recent memory. Hunters on Saturday faced blizzard-like conditions, and those who chose to go out on Sunday saw deep snow and difficult hiking. According to FWP, the overall number of hunters with game was about 1/3 below the 10-year average, with just 11 white-tailed deer, 9 mule deer, and 11 elk. The numbers were recorded at FWP's Augusta check station, the only check station in Region 4. And still ahead on the news at 6, if you are getting spammed with political texts, you are not alone. How some organizations in Montana are turning to text messaging this election cycle.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. If it seems like you're getting more political text messages than before this election season, there's a good chance you're right. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian looks at how some organizations in Montana are turning to text messaging this cycle.
For many Montanans, it's been hard to avoid political messages this year. On TV, online, in your mail, and increasingly on your cell phone. Leaders with the Montana Democratic Party say they've shifted more to texting as COVID-19 disrupted other forms of campaigning.
We have definitely used it considerably more to reach out to supporters and members, not just in this tail end to help get out the vote, but also to drive voters to online events where they can connect with the candidates. It's a safer way to do it than the doors.
The Democrats say they have focused on contacting known supporters through texts. The Montana Republican Party says it's not doing any texting this year, but some independent groups are using text to back Republican candidates, including Americans for Prosperity Action.
At least for our team in Montana, we haven't done a lot of text messaging before, but it's a new tool that we're using to great effect, talking to lots of people. And
AFP Action works with a data company to target who receives its messages and how they approach each voter. Montana's hotly contested races have drawn a lot of interest from organizations supporting candidates from all parties. They've sent texts to highlight specific issues or to remind people to vote. As Election Day approaches, some voters are receiving texts every day. According to the FCC, political organizations need to get someone's prior permission before sending them a text message through auto-dialing, but they can be sent without prior consent if someone dials the number manually. While campaigns can't know who you voted for, they can find out who has already voted.
The fastest way to make sure you don't get any more phone calls or text messages or anything like that, especially from us, is why don't you go vote? We're trying to avoid talking. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste our time.
Now, many of these political texts have been for Montana's marquee races, U.S. Senate and Governor, but there have also been messages for U.S. House, Montana Land Board races, the marijuana legalization initiatives, and even Lewis and Clark County Commissioner. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
If you want more information on candidates, issues, and voter resources, visit ktvh.com/MTN elections. There you can find links to 8 different debates with candidates for federal and statewide offices, important dates to remember leading up to the election, and MTN coverage on ballot issues and political spending. That address again is ktvh.com/MTN elections. All right, now let's check back in with Andy for what's coming up in weather.
Well, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is the temperatures will continue to go up, but the bad news is so will that wind speed over the next couple of days. I'll break it all down for you and tell you when we might be reaching 60 degrees. Yep, I said it, 60 degrees coming up after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Andy Curtis filling in for Curtis Grevenance one more time and giving you a little bit of good news. Of course, when it's weather, there's going to be bad news, but I'll start with that good news. Temperatures are looking pretty good across the state. 45 degrees right now around the Electric City, but a little windy. Not too bad at the moment. 15-mile-per-hour wind speeds making the temperature actually feel like 38 degrees, and that wind isn't too bad compared to what we've got coming. That's the bad news. Taking a trip down to Helena, 45 degrees right now, calm in the capital city, so it feels like 45 degrees. And 40s and high 30s are the story across the state. You can see Billings 41, Lewistown 41, Havre 41, all the same up and down that line. A little bit warmer down in Dillon, Cutbank 42 degrees. But the wind is the story of the next couple of days. Temperatures are going to be similar to today and what they were yesterday, warmer, a lot of sunshine, but that wind is going to be ramping up over the next couple of days. Right now, not a bad sign for areas like Havre and Cutbank. 5 and 7 is really good for up there, so enjoy it while you can, because here it is, that wind over the next couple of days, jumping up 60 miles per hour along the Rocky Mountain fronts is what we're seeing tonight and into tomorrow. That's really not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to get windier and more widespread in that area. And as we get into Thursday morning, pretty much the whole state is seeing 20, 30, 40 mile per hour wind speeds. Now, tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, things seem to die down just a little bit. And we're looking calm at 9 o'clock on Thursday. But that's the calm before the storm, both figuratively and, well, literally, because Friday, 8 a.m., there it is. The whole state is seeing some kind of strong wind, a lot of purple on the map. And again, purple is 60-plus mile per hour wind speeds. Great Falls, Cutbank, creeping down into Lewis and Clark County, cutting off kind of at the Continental Divide and the Rocky Mountain front, but even out to the western part of our state, it's going to be windy. So plan for that, and the biggest issue with that is not just being uncomfortable outside, but still snow on the ground. I know it's melting, but we had a lot of snow and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So this might seem like common sense, but it's my job to remind you about common sense when it comes to weather. That wind will be blowing that snow over the roadways in many spots across our state. So please be careful. Give yourself extra travel time if you're going anywhere that might see more snow than usual on the roads, especially up over any of the mountain passes. So here's that weather watch, the high wind watch that I was just mentioning, especially along Cutbank and Great Falls. That's going to go until Saturday. Very strong wind speeds sticking around, very strong possibility of road conditions deteriorating quickly. Funny thing, on the other side of the Continental Divide and the Rocky Mountain front right there, no wind at the moment. Now that wind, like we saw, will start to ramp up over here, but air is very stagnant at the moment over on the western side of the state. That means air quality is going down. So keep in mind if you're heading out there for any outdoor activity. Not a lot going on in our neck of the woods. Down to the southeast, though, that's a different story, and not a lot going on. Will be the story here for the next couple of days. A little bit of rain can be expected Friday up in the northwestern part of the state. Combine that with wind. Could be pretty nasty up there around Kalispell, Missoula, Glacier, western half of the state. But Saturday, things are looking pretty good. Things should start to dry out as we head into Halloween and start to calm down, actually. So taking a quick look at the 7-day forecast. 50s and 40s, that wind hopefully stopping on Friday, making the weekend look pretty good around the Electric City. Temperatures just above freezing at night. Then in the Helena area, temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Again, wind should be calming down on Friday as we head into the weekend. So I'm thinking this weekend should look pretty good.
Coming up, Sam Hoyle has a preview of this AA state soccer matchup.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the News at 6. The Helena High girls soccer team will play for the Class AA state title tomorrow afternoon. MTN's Sam Hoyle caught up with the Bengals team captains this afternoon before the game.
The Helena High girls soccer team is ready. The Bengals girls will play host to the Glacier Wolfpack for the Class AA state title tomorrow afternoon. And after a season unlike any other, they're just thankful they got the opportunity to play.
In more ways than just on the field, we worked as a team, meaning keeping each other safe by practicing social distancing with a lot more things on our shoulders than just winning games is really important and amazing to be in Hadley. Our teamwork coming together and being worth it in the end to be in this game tomorrow.
The Bengals and the Wolfpack are the top two teams in the Western AA and now the state. The Bengals, number 1 in the West, the Wolfpack, number 2 in the West. And though the Bengals swept the season series with 2 shutout wins, 3-0 and 2-0, they know Glacier will be a tough opponent when it comes to the championship game.
We are just focusing on our game. I told our team not to focus on the other team. We've played Glacier before. We know how they play, but I don't want us to focus on how we played them before because every team is different in playoffs. And now that we've been to the championship, it's going to get real with them for sure, and that's why they are the number 2 seed.
One of the bright signs for the Bengals is they'll get the opportunity to host the final game of the season, and they hope they'll get the opportunity to raise some first-place hardware in front of their families and friends.
It's a dream since you were a little girl. You never imagined it. You'd say, oh, I want to win a state championship, but here we are, less than 24 hours away from getting that opportunity to hold that trophy up in front of our family and friends, and it's definitely something I've dreamed about for a long time.
The Bengals and the Wolfpack will kick off on Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock at Siebel Fields. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
All right, and we'll wrap things up here on the News at 6 when we come back.
Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back, everybody, and here is your fun fact for the day. Today is National Chocolate Day. Now, you probably don't need an excuse to enjoy some chocolate, and let's take a deeper look at this delicious dessert treat. Chocolate is derived from the seed of the cacao tree, and unlike the sweet flavor of, say, a Hershey's Kiss or a chocolate cupcake, the taste is intense and bitter, so the seeds have to be fermented. There's quite a process. The beans get dried, cleaned, roasted, shelled, and ground up. And according to nationaldaycalendar.com, there is evidence of the use of cacao seeds from as far back as 1100 BC.
There you go. It doesn't get much more official than national. What was that? Calendar.com?
It is, yeah, nationaldaycalendar.com. Write that down.
There you go. Well, taking a look at our weather, we got a couple of nice days temperature-wise in the forecast. Wind, though, will be strong across Montana. But looks like right now that things should start to get calm as we head into the weekend with temperatures in the 40s and 50s. So after we brave and go through some of these stronger, windier days, we should be rewarded with a fairly decent weekend.
All right, and that does it for the News at 6. Remember, we'll be back here at 10 with the latest from that meeting about Cascade County's COVID-19 restrictions. And we'll have your latest weather and other headlines as well. We'll see you back here then.